Welcome, everyone. Great to take a seat. It's amazing to see so many people. I've been here 15 years, and I don't think I've ever seen this many people in the council chamber. Kind of exciting. Thank you for joining us tonight. Welcome. And it is hard to believe that almost exactly 10 years ago today, I stood right here congratulating the first class of Bellevue Essentials graduates. And tonight, it's incredible to see about 150 graduates here from the past 10 years. I want to welcome all of our graduates and our city council, city staff, our leadership team. We have 10 community partners here tonight and over 100 community members, family, and friends joining us. I think that the outstanding attendance here tonight is really a big statement of how much impact this program has had here in our community. So thank you all so much for being here. I hope you enjoy tonight's program, and not only all of the speakers you're going to hear tonight in the program, but I hope you notice the beautiful ambiance all throughout our concourse. This is not always what City Hall looks like, and we don't always have bees. And for those of you that don't know, bees is the Bellevue Essentials Extended Group. That is our alumni group that's been active for 10 years, and their acronym is BEES. And I just have to do a shout out to Mark Heilman over here, who is my partner in running the Bellevue Essentials program, but he gets credit for everything you see out there. I do none of that, so. Well, thank you. You will all enjoy the decor, the beautiful food. There'll be live music after, but for now, let's get started with our program. So for the few of you who don't know me, I'm Julie Ellenhorn, and I've had the privilege to serve as the program manager for Bellevue Essentials since it started in 2013. So in 2012, Mike McCormick-Huntelman, who's sitting over here, most of you know him, he was our new outreach manager. And as a response to the limited number of applicants that we were seeing for boards and for commission positions, and some of the low attendance sometimes at some of the big city meetings that we had, I proposed to Mike that we offer a class that would teach residents what we do here at City Hall. Day-to-day operations, city process, just how does it all work? And for those of you who know Mike, he has both the vision and the passion to make things happen. So with the support of our city council, the vision for Bellevue Essentials was launched. I went out and asked several departments in the city to help me design some fun and interactive experiences that would educate our residents. You saw some of those in the slideshow. Did you see the fire hose and emergency medical and some of the fun things we do at utilities? So we weren't sure at that time who, if anyone, might sign up to spend every Wednesday night for 10 weeks here at City Hall, but they did. The first year, we had 41 applications for 30 spaces. And over the 10 years, we've averaged 61 applicants a year for the 35 spaces that we have. So our demand has still remained even through the pandemic. And in fact, I went through yesterday to see all of you who came tonight, what year's classes you were from. And our pandemic year of 2020, we have almost 2/3 of our class here tonight. So even remote, we did it. So Bellevue Essentials has developed a strong reputation as a training ground for those who want to learn about city government, for those who want to become advocates for whatever they are passionate about, for individuals who are interested in serving on our city boards and commissions, for neighborhood leaders, and for those who want to make a difference at the city and who want to serve out in our broader Bellevue community and in the region. Bellevue Essentials has connected residents with similar passions and residents with diverse opinions, and it's helped them to learn and work together. It's helped residents who are new to Bellevue to connect with this community, and it's helped residents find their voice. Bellevue Essentials classes reflect the changing demographics of Bellevue, and our participants get to learn and explore with people from all over the world. These people now call Bellevue home. Personally, I get to meet a new group of leaders every year. A few, like me, are Bellevue natives, and they remember the suburban Bellevue of the 1960s. I'm going to age myself here. Most have come here since 2010 or even 2020, and they only know the vibrant, fast-growing Bellevue that you see today. Some are new immigrants. All of them are curious to learn, and they care deeply about Bellevue. They have great discussions, and they tackle tough issues. I've learned so much from them over the years, and I'm happy to call many of them friends. Seeing what they accomplish in our community makes me proud to do this job every day. So before I introduce Mayor Robinson, I just want to take a moment to introduce our city council, who are all in the front row. If you can, Councilmember Stokes, Councilmember Lee, Deputy Mayor Neuenhouse, Mayor Robinson, and Councilmember Zahn. And Councilmember Barksdale, I hope will be joining us later, and Councilmember Robertson sends her regrets tonight. But we so appreciate all the support that you've given us over the years. I also like to recognize would like to recognize our city manager, Brad Miyake. And if there are any members of our leadership team here, it's really hard for me to tell. Could you please stand up so we could recognize you? Hard to tell way back there. But we have a leadership team here at the city and department staff who spend a huge amount of time helping make this program happen each year, and we so appreciate them as well. I also want to recognize our community partners tonight that have helped sponsor tonight's event and made it possible for the beautiful event that we'll all share in later tonight. If you can please stand as your company name is read if you are here. Amazon, Belden Cafe, Chen Heritage Foundation. You're not standing up for me, I know you're out there. Kazuki Ramen, Matcha Agency, Microsoft, Perkins Coie, Puget Sound Energy, Vulcan Real Estate, and Wallace Properties. Thank you. It's now my pleasure to introduce Mayor Lynn Robinson. Mayor Robinson has served on the City Council since 2014 and been mayor since 2020. She has a long history of civic engagement, and she's an advocate for the environment, for our parks and open spaces, human services, and affordable housing here in Bellevue. I so appreciate Mayor Robinson for her warm approachability, her positive smile all the time, and I love seeing her riding around Bellevue on her e-bike. Welcome, Mayor.
Thank you, Julie. You know, I just love this program, and I really want to give a special thank you to Julie, Mark, and Mike for all the work they have done to make this possible for our city. Let's give them a big thank you. So here we are again. It's been 10 weeks since I last saw you. Does anybody feel any different than they did 10 weeks ago? Can you tell me why? You've learned a little bit. Anybody else? You should. That's great. Well, thank you for being here. I'm feeling inspired because tonight is your graduation. And after 10 weeks and 30 hours of devoting your time and energy, you are coming to graduate. And I can tell you, you have already made the city a better place for everybody just by your involvement here in this program. And tonight we're also celebrating 10 years of Bellevue Essentials and its 342 graduates. Do we have any any alumni in the room? Oh, just a couple? Okay, good. Well, thank you for coming. Do we have any graduates on the city council? No? Not yet? Are you? Raise your hand. Yay, you. So I know you know a lot of great about the program. I'm going to tell you two things you may not know. Bellevue Essentials has been instrumental in creating opportunities for our diverse community to have a place at the decision-making table. For the first time on our boards and commissions, our council, in our committees, our representation looks like our community, and it just gets better every day. And that's because of the involvement of people like you. Devoting your time to learn more about the city, to learn how to get involved. You've actually followed through and become more involved. You are on committees, you are on panels, and you are volunteering in the community. And we so appreciate that, and it gives us an opportunity to have you represent the different interests and concerns of our community. And the Bellevue Essentials Alumni Group has volunteered in various organizations and continued their learning through the Bellevue Essentials Extended Alumni Program. Another thing that you may not know is that value statement that you create throughout your program. It goes on a poster, and sometimes it gets on a mug. And I use this mug every day, and every day I am reminded of the values and what's important to the community from that last year. So I want to thank you for your input and all that you do and all that you're going to do for the city. It really does make the city a better place for everybody, so thank you. And congratulations to each of you on graduating tonight. I'm very proud of you. And now I'd like to introduce our Deputy Mayor, Jared Neuenhuis.
Mayor, where do I get one of those mugs? I don't think I've gotten one of those. Oh, it's so great to be here. Thank you so much. It's sold out capacity here. This is fantastic. So seeing a lot of friendly faces here, even some folks that were part of my graduating class in 2014. So thank you for being here. And also I just want to thank so many folks that I saw yesterday. Thank you for taking the time to pay your respects to a fallen officer. It was amazing how many people came out, not just along the procession line, but actually showed up at Maiden Bauer Center. So thank you so much. It means a lot to me, including our Governor Locke here showing up as well. Thank you so much. So 10th anniversary, it's amazing. I'm so proud of this program being that 2014 graduate. It feels just like yesterday. I was in this seat about to get my certificate from former Mayor Claudia Balducci and our city manager Brad Miyake, who still looks exactly the same. So the cycling's really working well for him. But most importantly, this really helped inspire me to get more involved in my community, because I really wanted to make a positive impact in my community, and this was the launching point for it. So after graduating, I got involved in my Lake Hills Neighborhood Association. I joined the board of LifeWire. I joined the Parks and Community Services Board here with the city. And then in 2017, I decided to serve on the Bellevue City Council. And it was only a matter of time before I'm going to be joined on this city council by another graduate of this great program. I don't know who it's going to be yet, but I'm sure one day you're going to be joining me on this dais up here. So I truly believe that it is a foundational learning and insight into the inner workings of the city, which some of you can really relate to, having gone through the program. And it really prepared me to help lead the city through some great challenges as well as some tremendous opportunities. And I'm definitely not the only success story. In fact, more than 50 graduates now have gone on to serve on boards, on commissions, many helping to strengthen our neighborhoods through their service and their neighborhood associations. And now also serving the broader community. Again, serving on a multitude of local service organizations and nonprofits right here in our city. It's amazing what a tremendous difference graduates have made in our community over these last 10 years. And I want to thank everyone who has helped make this program such a success. My fellow council members, the amazing work done by city staff, and you're probably not the only time you're going to get a shout out today, but Mike and Julie and Mark, also Carol and Teresa, and hopefully that covers it. There's others, I'm sure, but have all done an incredible job. And then, of course, here, the graduates. This is so much about you. Bellevue is a special place because you want to be a part of this city. Not just live here, but you want to engage. You want to help. You want to be involved. This is not, this doesn't happen in every city. And that's why this model here, Bellevue Essentials, really is a model for the entire nation, and why Mike probably gets calls every other week. How do we set this up in our city? So together, I truly believe we're making a positive difference for this special place that we call Bellevue, and I can't wait to see the impact that we're going to have in the next 10 years. So congratulations and thank you.
Thank you, Mayor and Deputy Mayor Neuenhouse. And I want to welcome Councilmember Barksdale. I saw you sneak in. Thanks for being here. So we have a special treat tonight. In 2013, we started the tradition of having a graduation class speaker every year, and our 2013 class speaker is going to speak tonight as our alumni speaker. She graduated with our very first class and has been active at the city and with our alumni group for the past 10 years. Professionally, Andrea Turner is the Director of Primary and Urgent Care at Overlake Hospital here in our own city. And personally, she's a mom. She's a glowing example of a passionate community activist and volunteer. Andrea is also a veteran, and she has a passion for advocacy on many topics, including children with special needs. And she's currently working, I believe, on our comp plan. She's going to correct me if I got that wrong. Andrea, welcome.
Good evening. Welcome to this celebration of community engagement. 10 years ago, I didn't need glasses to read what's in front of me. At that time, I was a brand new resident here in Bellevue, and I thought, what a great way to learn more about the community that I call home. Since graduation, I have freely given my time to many services that enhance our lives in Bellevue, as well as our healthcare community. In fact, I may be partially responsible for some of you in the room tonight. Julie would enlist some of us to come talk to people to think about applying to the program. And then they always enlist a few of us each year to review all the applications that you all submit. And luckily, I applied in a year where there weren't as many applicants. Now, less than a 50% success rate. But it's been great every year to see graduates of the program in the community doing Jubilee Reach. We've repaired gardens, we've repaired homes, we've served food to the community, and everyone continues to step forward, and some take even bigger jobs. So what you know when you meet a Bellevue Essentials graduate is you know you are with someone that cares about their community. You have found someone that you can partner with to address an issue important to you, to create a lasting impact. And how do we do that? We do that by saying yes, right? I see Craig in the audience, one of my neighbors, right, who wanted to resurrect our neighborhood association. And you just say yes and show up. That's the important thing. And remember that we are connectors in our community. So when you go home, I want you to tell somebody else about Bellevue Essentials. We have new people that join our organizations, new residents that come to our neighborhood. Some might have fear and mistrust about government. So it's important that we talk to them about resources that are available, as well as how they can reach out and help. This year, I was asked to join the Bellevue 2044 strategy team. And when you think about where you're going to be in 2044, at least for me, I hope to be retired and quite possibly living overseas. And we have to remember that the decisions we make today are going to impact the lives of those not even born yet, as well as those people that may not even have heard of Bellevue. So continue to participate. So I answered a survey sometime this fall, evidently about pedestrian safety. So on Monday, I'm going to be at a pedestrian signals focus group. Maybe I'll see one of you there. I would be remiss if I did not mention the ongoing impact of COVID-19 in our community. One of the most positive things about that is we all got comfortable with things online, right? We had a class. We can access services. We can quickly pivot if something's going on. You know, the school board, there's a weather event, meeting transfers to online. More people can participate in community government by logging in at home or viewing it. And I've also seen, as a result from the pandemic, a renewed commitment to community. Right, mentioning we've never seen this many people here at a Bellevue Essentials event, People came out of the pandemic wanting to connect more with others and wanting to re-engage. And we really have an opportunity to harness that power right now. As a neighborhood resident of Loch Levin, it's been a joy to have so many of you join us at our community events. People from other parts of the city leaders. The less desirable change of COVID, unfortunately, is people are angry. At the hospital, I call it going from grateful to hateful. That less desirable change is what I call the danger we face on our city streets, because too many drivers are driving distracted, aggressive, and a general disregard for speed limits, yield signs, and stop signs. The loss of Officer Jackson should be a wake-up call for our city, our residents and visitors, to take action to ensure that Vision Zero is not a talking point, but a reality achieved from a shared vision. One of the most important things about graduating from a program like this is you gain confidence to do more. Many of us serve at the state and national level with a variety of organizations. Personally, as a healthcare leader, I get to train and teach the next generation of our healthcare workforce. I manage a workforce training program to recruit, train, and certify new medical assistants, and I serve on the advisory board for the University of Washington Master of Healthcare Administration program. I've also served as a state elected leader for the American College of Healthcare Executives. So if any of the students out here who are volunteers want to talk to me about a career in healthcare, find me later tonight. At the White House, they talked about how our country gathers for the holidays. Our traditions may vary, but our shared American values, a belief in possibility, optimism, and unity endure. I hope we all continue to advocate for a better Bellevue, serve as ambassadors for our great city, and discover a renewed commitment in ourselves to serve. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrea. It is great to have someone from that very first class to be able to speak to us this evening. I met Andrea at one of the Bees Coffees, which we do most months, and as you mentioned, we get to do some of those remotely now, so encourage the new class to be part of that, and we look forward to some of that continuing education that we have kind of learned some great ways to do that. So this evening, we would like for you to hear from some of our graduates. We could have made a very long video, but it's 5 minutes long. But we are just so very proud of what you all have done, so very grateful to be able to serve with you. So the video speaks for itself. We are just very grateful to introduce you to folks that are sharing and serving within our community. So let's go to the impact video.
What we're doing this year is celebrating Bellevue Essentials' 10th anniversary. We started the first class in 2013, so this will be our 10th graduating class. By creating a knowledgeable base of volunteers for the city and for the community, that we have a really great involvement level in Bellevue and people filling many needs, and it helps us create a healthy, thriving community for everyone.
Through this program, I know the why, I know how, I know big picture to know, to get direction for me to work properly and to do contribution to this community.
I really enjoyed learning. Really, the in-depth discussion and Q&A sessions really helped you figure things out more. I have not only recommended this program to other people, I've suggested it to people that felt like they were clueless about the city and they'd lived here for years.
I was really surprised to find how engaging it was and how open the city was to really opening their doors and showing what it's like to run a city. So it really gave me a bigger perspective of how much it takes to get things done in a city. In December of 2020, I was approached by developer Wright Runstad and Company to take on the senior manager role of the new Spring District in the Bellred area. And it was so exciting to me to see that I got to re-engage with the city in so many various departments, in the development and the parks, and Julie and her team, and being able to put on events here. It all came back to full circle and really helped me understand the processes that I needed to go through in creating a new micro-community in the Belle Red neighborhood.
And doesn't matter what they look like, what language they speak, I want them to feel our home is their home. So that's why I opened this business. And then when I saw the Bellevue Essential email and the mail, I was feeling like, this is something I really, really want to learn about how I can give and connect with our city better, learn how we can offer the services to everybody that moved to the city. For example, during COVID, we reached out to different charities, asked them, do they need food? Do they need clothes? What do they need at this special moment of our times?
I came as a refugee originally to Seattle in 1994, and it was really hard to fit in as a refugee when I moved to Bellevue and started working in Bellevue as well. And it was for the first time where I started feeling like there was a sense of community, and I wanted to contribute to that. I've been selected for the Commissioner for Environmental Services for 6 years, or almost 6 years, and there I've met some amazing women in leadership roles that I have been just inspired, and I feel like they've been my biggest fans in my success. I did not come here as an immigrant. I came here as a refugee with my aunt who's deaf when I was 13, so without parents. And Claire was the first person where we had that same bond that we came here so young without our parents.
The biggest impacts that I've seen of the Bellevue Essentials program over the last couple of years has been how people, whether within the program, can get involved within the city and make a difference in how the city is run and what the future of the city is. So the event we're participating in today is the Strategy 2044 Task Force. And as a Bellevue Essentials grad, what I want to contribute is the input and the perspective of a citizen of the city. So together with a lot of other stakeholders within the city, we're going to define what the future of Bellevue is.
I graduated from the program in 2014. It definitely impacted me, and it definitely inspired me to decide to run for office and run for the Bellevue City Council. I probably have two takeaways. One, how committed city staff is to this city and to the residents of this city. And number two, how complex city operations can be. You cannot make a decision in one department without it impacting another department. So understanding how those key decisions are made and how it impacts the entire city are really critical to understanding how the city operates.
The biggest reason I'm here is 2044 is a time when my daughter is going to be in my situation. She's going to be a thriving resident of Bellevue, hoping she'll be part of the public-private partnership. And because today she's a minor, I want to make sure that I pave the way for her for 2044. So Bellevue Essentials is for anybody who has the enthusiasm and a good heart. This is an amazing program for people who have never started. It doesn't matter how old you are or how young you are. I had members who were 17 years old. I had somebody who was well retired, but both of them put together with me in the middle and 40 more participants. We had an amazing time realizing how much we have in common and how much stuff we have to lose if we don't take care of it. And this is a city, we need to take care of it.
Wow, that was inspiring. Good evening. It's great to see everyone here, all the folks that are extended out beyond into the foyer there. My name is Grace Chen, and I am the chair of the Bellevue Essentials 10th Anniversary Planning Committee. It has been a wonderful year working with a great team of dedicated bees, many from my class, to help plan this evening's event. And it's my honor at this time to introduce our keynote speaker this evening. He is a leader whose record of civic service has spanned every level of government. At the city level, he worked as an attorney with the City of Seattle Human Rights Commission. At the county level, he was an attorney in the King County Prosecutor's Office and later elected as King County Executive. At the state level, he first served on the state legislature, where he chaired the Appropriations Committee and thereafter was elected governor. At the federal level, he was appointed as Secretary of Commerce by President Obama, and he made his imprint at the international level as the U.S. Ambassador to China. We know him today as the interim president of Bellevue College, and we are honored to have him with us this evening. Please join me in a warm welcome for Gary Locke.
Well, thanks, Grace. Actually, I haven't seen Grace and her husband Rodney in probably over 10, 15 years, so it's really great. And it's really a pleasure to be here at this 10th anniversary celebration of Bellevue Essentials. And as I was talking with Julie earlier, I discovered that really this is a trailblazing, a first of its kind really in the state of Washington. And you in Bellevue and the folks at the Bellevue City Hall have really helped to spread this concept and this program to many other cities. And it is really quite remarkable and quite a role model and a national model. Tonight we celebrate some 35 graduates, people who come from all walks of life, a variety of different interests, but with a common interest and purpose, dedication and interest in the future of the city of Bellevue. I have to tell you that I actually lived in Bellevue for almost a year, almost 50 years ago. And I was just doing the math, and the only thing that is still the same is the QFC near Bellevue Way and 8th Avenue. It's a little bit bigger, but that QFC was the one that we always frequented. And now I live in the southern part of Bellevue, just off of Bellevue Way by the I-90 interchange, the transit center. But Bellevue has changed dramatically. It is now, I think, about the 5th largest city in the state of Washington. More than 50% of the residents of Bellevue are non-white, and almost 40% of the residents were foreign-born. Foreign-born. So this city, this vibrant city, is incredibly diverse. Diverse in terms of population, ethnicity, birth, but also in terms of occupation and in terms of lifestyle. And that is why it is so important that we create a group of people every year that is more understanding, conversant with the complexities of local government. George Will, a very noted conservative columnist, said that local government officials are the foot soldiers of democracy. So whether you're serving on a school board or whether you're serving on a city council or in local government, you are the foot soldiers of democracy. And because of the large percentage, almost 40%, who are foreign-born and coming from other countries, there is a culture of distrust of government. A distrust of government. And of course, we're seeing our democracy and our government institutions challenged every day now, starting with the mayhem, the riot, whatever you want to call the insurrection of January 6 several years ago, to even, you see the distrust of government and people wanting to express themselves positively or negatively. Look at the constant demonstrations in Iran. Look at the bravery of people in China who are protesting COVID restrictions and the turmoil to their lives. And of course, the news today that over 50 people in Germany were arrested for plotting the overthrow of the government. Our democracy is fragile. Government institutions cannot be taken for granted, whether you're conservative or liberal, progressive, Republican, or Democrat. We have to take an interest in the affairs of our government because that government represents us. And the issues these days are so complex, whether you're talking about smart growth and figuring out where growth and density should occur to reduce the cost to taxpayers, because if you have uncontrolled sprawl and growth, you have to build roads and sewers and electricity and schools in the far-flung regions of our community, and do we destroy the environment and our open space, our timberland, our agricultural lands in the process? Who's going to pay for that constant provision of services, whether it's police, fire, electricity, and water and sewer to the far-flung regions of our community? Transportation. How do we handle transportation, knowing that it's a growing population? Are we to constantly build roads? With a growing population, we do need roads, but can we have alternatives to roads and single occupancy vehicles, to even human services with the growing demographics and the growing number of elderly in our communities? How do we provide those human services? And of course, one of the things that has attracted people to America is our high-quality higher education institutions. But also, we need to focus on education starting at the early levels. And education is a driving force in attracting people to communities and in the decision of where people live. And of course, public safety. We cannot take our safety for granted. Yes, we can have police reform, but how do we have smart policing? We'll always need law enforcement to respond in cases of violence, in cases of threats to our security, but how do we take care of our community? And of course, we love this open space. Bellevue Park is a jewel, but just a few miles away, we have Cougar Mountain and Rattlesnake Ridge and Mount Si and forest lands. We cannot take this for granted. And with the challenges of climate change and growing heat, and what's going to happen is that, and I've worried about this for over 30 years, we're running out of water. Even here in Puget Sound in western Washington, our aquifers are drying up. And what now falls as snow in several years will fall as rain, leaving less snow in the mountains to gradually melt to feed our rivers and streams, for agriculture, for fish, and for people. We need to start thinking about storing up a lot of that water that falls as rain, and to recharge our aquifers and figuring out how we can have that water for all these different purposes. And of course, we care about jobs. With our kids growing up, we want to make sure that they have a financially secure future. We want them to be able to have livable, family wage jobs. And so we've got to have a connection between government and business, because we want strong businesses because they create jobs for our people. We need the people of Bellevue and the community to get involved, because this is your city. And if you don't participate, others will be at the table making those decisions that affect you, and you can't complain. You can't complain. These are complex issues, as I said, and that's why it's so gratifying that you have Bellevue's Essential introducing folks from all walks of life to the complexities of city government and the challenges that governments face. I've always believed that regardless of your tax structure, there will never be enough money to satisfy everyone's wish list. Government cannot do it all, which is why we have public-private partnerships and why there's responsibilities of nonprofits as well as the private sector and individual responsibility. But with whatever funds government receives, they need to set priorities. They need to be as efficient and as effective as possible with those limited dollars, and they need to address the concerns, the aspirations, the hopes and dreams, and the worries of the people within that community. I have to tell you that when I first started off in government, I knew very little about government. I never dreamed of having a career in politics, but I wanted to be involved. I was inspired by John F. Kennedy's inaugural address when he said, ask not what your country can do for you, but what you can do for your country. And I remember his challenge to put a man on the moon by the end of the decade. And I remember as a kid watching all of those launchings of the Mercury and then Gemini, and then the landing of the moon. I wanted to help, but I never thought I'd be in government. I took an interest in government. Actually, when I went to college, I was actually thinking of majoring in forestry and working in the woods for the Forest Service. And then I thought about urban planning and how to shape the future of our communities. But it was because of the Vietnam War protests and the civil rights movement that I decided that instead of burning buildings, that we needed to use the law to affect change, to use the power of the legal system to make changes in America. And so I volunteered for a lot of folks on campaigns and got to know what they did and enjoyed doorbelling, got to visit neighborhoods that I had never seen before. Growing up in South Seattle, most of us never ventured north of the Ship Canal, had never been up to Ballard, had never been up to Wallingford area, maybe University of Washington once in a while, but never really in the northern parts of Seattle. And so doorbelling for citywide candidates was an opportunity to see the different architecture, to understand different neighborhoods, and to actually look at how people landscape their homes and their gardens. I caught the bug. I caught the bug. And I had a chance one year to work in Olympia as an attorney. This was right after I left the prosecutor's office. I got kind of burned out seeing some of the same criminals coming through the cycle over and over again. And so I took time off and worked in the state legislature as an attorney for the Higher Education Committee. And from that experience, I realized that these local legislators come from all walks of life. Some were farmers, some were barbers, cosmetologists, dentists, teachers, accountants, lawyers, doctors, small business owners. And I said, they're everyday people. If they can do it, why not me? And if I really care about the issues, I want to be at the table helping set the policies that affect all of us. Now, each of us with our different perspectives can add something unique to the deliberation. Our backgrounds, whether it's an immigrant family or a refugee or a person with a certain specialty, occupational or educational specialty, has that particular perspective that can add to the discussion. And in the formulation of policy can actually make it better. You know, there's oftentimes a disdain for lobbyists in government. But I actually think lobbyists are a very valuable force. Because as legislators or city council members and county council members or state legislators are deliberating legislation, you have a group representing seniors who will say, do you know that this phrase will have this impact, and did you intend that? And as we look at retirement policies and savings accounts and things like that, you'll have representatives of retirees and say, do you know that this will have this particular impact? Did you mean that? Or this benign law, do you realize that people who are convicted of this could be subject to deportation? That this qualifies as a moral offense? Did you realize that? Did you intend that? And we have lobbyists representing seniors, representing teachers, representing environmentalists, representing law enforcement, representing doctors and lawyers and dentists, and the list goes on and on. Representing farmers, representing fishermen, and groups that are concerned about climate change, about tax fairness, low-income individuals, services for the poor, services for the immigrants. They bring their collective voices to the table to make sure that the policies are fully fleshed out. That's why Bellevue Essentials is so important. We're now educating a group of people from all different backgrounds on all the other issues affecting this city. And hopefully that they will then participate in boards and commissions, bring their unique perspective to the table to make sure that policies reflect and address the concerns that their constituents and their fellow citizens may have. I remember voting on legislation in Olympia. And I remember the trials and tribulations of immigrant families. As governor, I brought that same sensitivity of immigrants to all of our discussions and all of our deliberations. Shortly after I was elected governor, the Republican Congress under Newt Gingrich eliminated food stamps for immigrants, legal immigrants, for non-U.S. citizens. And I know of many immigrants who have lived here in the United States for 40, 50 years, Canadians who have worked here and lived here, raised families here, but because they're not a United States citizen, in case they needed ever needed help, fall on tough times, they would not be eligible for food stamps. And I said, this is wrong. This is contrary to what America stands for, because we, as America, are really a land of foreigners. Except for the Native Americans, we're all foreigners, whether first generation or 10th generation, whether our ancestors came on the Mayflower, a slave ship from Africa, or a steamer from Asia. We're all foreigners. And it's been that constant infusion of people from all around the world that has fueled the innovation, the dynamism of this country. And so to say that immigrants, even legal immigrants who've been paying taxes for all these years would not be eligible for food stamps, I said it was contrary to what America stands for. So I negotiated with the Republican legislature, it was controlled by the Republicans at the time, that we would not pass welfare reform unless we first had a state-only food stamp program. And we were the first in the country to do that. Several other states with Republican and Democratic governors followed suit, and our program existed until about 4 years later when the Republican Congress reversed course and reinstated food stamps for all citizens and all residents of America. Having that perspective, knowing of the trials and tribulations and the contributions of immigrants, helped me shape policy in Olympia. So those, when you look at the photos of some of the past graduates of Bellevue Essentials, you look at the list of the 35 who are today's graduates, you can tell they represent a diversity of backgrounds and perspectives. And again, 40% of the students, of the residents of Bellevue are born elsewhere. They bring those unique perspectives to bear and enrich the discussion and hopefully the outcome, the policies that come from Bellevue. I encourage the graduates, like our deputy mayor, to run for office. But even if you don't run for office, serve on a board or commission. Because again, so much of the work and so much of the final recommendations that come to the city council and to the city manager's office and to the officials within City Hall are born of the work of boards and commissions. You can contribute in so many different ways without having to be elected. But I encourage you to run for office. It's actually quite easy because, well, it's relatively a lot easier to run for office in the state of Washington than it is from the state of California or eastern states where there's the parties, whether Democrat or Republican parties, are well entrenched, and you almost have to have the blessing and the endorsement of the party leaders or establishment groups and organizations. Bellevue, Puget Sound region, the state of Washington are relatively young communities. And it's easy, much easier to break through, to run for office, and to get elected. Look at me. So I encourage everyone, whether you're a graduate, an alum of Bellevue Essentials, but all the folks here assembled, get involved. This is your city. How do you want it to grow? What do you want it to be 10, 15, 50 years from now? Not just for yourself, but for your children and your grandchildren. What legacy do you want to leave? Our democracy is fragile. The direction of our cities can be altered with bad policies overnight. This is your city. Nurture it. Take care of it. Be active. Get involved. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much for sharing your vital perspective and unique service with us. We very much appreciate that. Also, Grace, thank you so much, and to the team that has put this event together. Grace, it's been several months. We were having a hard time remembering when we first got together, but it's been several months, and finally today we've been able to get together and finally do things for you. So, Grace, thank you so much for your service as well, responding to the idea of being involved here. Thank you. Every year, the class that is graduating will nominate a speaker. As we mentioned, Andrea was that person 10 years ago. Ernest Hughes spoke. I think he made an impression with his class the evening that we did the boards and commissions role play. Still not sure what all of that meant and stuff. You guys understand. But Ernest Hughes is our graduation speaker this evening. He grew up in the home of a fireman, has children, is an educator, but comes this evening to talk about the importance of being earnest. Ernest Hughes.
Thank you. I need just a moment to get us ready. assured me that I only had 5 minutes, and I want to make sure everybody in back could see. I come to you wearing different hats, but the one hat that I want to emphasize is another role, to ask the Bellevue Essentials leaders, city leaders, the community, to take a larger international role. In my engagement in the world of international standards making, I have been frequently asked, what does your city do? How does it do what it does? What does it aspire to be? The world needs to hear about that. I call that construct a global classroom. And in his role as president of Bellevue College, the governor can tell us more about how there's a flow of international students. I brought a number of students from different places in the world, business leaders, government leaders. Those of you that are in BE 22 will see as a model the Global Exchange, the session that we had and participation that we did with them. To help you understand that, I would like for us to take a quiz. And so, using only the knowledge in your heads, your own head, I have 3 questions to ask you. The first question is, how long did it take after the invention of the automobile to enclose the cab? You can breathe. You can think about it. Maybe get some test anxiety. It took 20 years. Why? Hold on to that. Second question. How long after the invention of the steel metal can to store food did it take to invent the can opener? Anybody? In the back, anybody have an idea? Well, some people say, didn't it happen immediately? Oh, Jerry's very wise. She's a member of our cohort. Just so you know. It took 50 years. The steel metal can was invented in 1813 for the British Navy. The inventor gave no thought at all to how to open it. And provided these instructions. Use a hammer and a chisel to open it. Last question. Why weren't women authorized to run in the Boston Marathon until 1972? Wait, your own head first. Okay, your own head. Come up with your own answer. Okay, now? Yeah, correct. They would die. That women would die. That belief was held mostly by men. So as you can see, collectively we are smarter together. And what we know as leaders of Bellevue, shapers of the future in Washington, in the region, is needed outside of Bellevue. And I would like to encourage you to also engage in that. Thank you.
That is not a 5-minute timer, Ernest. There are folks in this room that do not need to have that timer at their accessibility. So at this time, we're going to ask the class that's mostly seated here, if you all would line up alphabetically on my left, please, by last name. At this time, the mayor and our city manager, Lynn Robinson and Brad Miyake, are going to come and acknowledge the class one by one and hand out the certificate. You all will stand up here and then we'll take a group photo together. We had about 3 or 4 folks in the class that really wanted to practice graduation. We've never had that request before, so we take note of some of the things that are unique and emerging. No, we're taking a group picture. We're taking one group picture at the end. We're taking one group picture at the end. Yep, yep. I'm fine with that.
I'm so excited.
This class has been so wonderful.
I just love the different graphics, the honeycomb, it's just, I like it.
That's good.
It's
Good,
refreshing.
good. Well, we're going to assume that you're close enough at this point. They knew themselves. They knew they needed a practice. So. Okay, I'm going to turn to the mayor and to Brad Miyake to introduce the class. And again, class, you all will stay up here and we will take a photo together that Claude will be taking with us. But again, we're just so very, very grateful for this class. Many of you don't know that each evening we have the mayor, the deputy mayor, and one of the council members come to speak to the class and to be able to interact. And that's just a really valuable time. Through the years, we have done more and more of the emphasis of Q&A with the residents at the end of the evening. So it's less of one-way communication, but much more two-way communication. So we look forward to acknowledging this class. So Mayor and Brad, thank you for greeting this class.
Okay, I'm going to read the names, and Mr. Miyake is going to hand out the certificate. I think that names are very important. I'm going to try very hard to say your name correctly, and if for some reason I don't, if you want to announce your own name the way it's supposed to be said, please do. Okay, so first we have Chris Bodiford. Charles Bofferding. Okay, he's not with us, that's right. Jerry Brandt. Janice Bristol. Peter Kai, he's not here tonight. Subhab Churukuri, he is not here tonight. Eileen Chow. Paul Clark. No? Okay. Rowena Klima. Reed Cundiff. Congratulations. Heidi Dean. Congratulations. Jim Doyle. Congratulations. Sherry Gosho Ing. Congratulations. Oh, thank you. Amy Gupta. No? Okay. Soliha Hauji Bek Tushalu. Congratulations. Thank you. Yes. Beth Hanley. Congratulations. Alexander Hay. Congratulations. Barbara Hay. Did I say it right? Hughes, Barbara Hughes. I combine names, I'm sorry. Barbara Hughes. Congratulations. Thank you. Okay, Ernest Hughes. Any relation? Jacques Imperial. Namita Kandawal. Congratulations. Thank you.
Namita, if you come this way, we'll start the next row.
Sure. Laura Lawler. Lawler. Congratulations. Nancy Lawler. Jonathan Liu. Congratulations. Drew Magill. He is not here tonight. Debbie Margolis. Congratulations. Thank you. Andy Mirekis. Raymond Norton. Ricardo Perezica. Congratulations. Pereschica. Michael Risen. Lori Scott. Imran Siddiqui. Carolyn Theens. Shoshar Wang. And Phyllis White. All right, let's congratulate. Oh, we're going to do a great group photo, but let's do a big congratulations to this group.
Thank you.
Maybe a picture of that.
You don't have a clear view of this thing, it doesn't have a clear view of you. However you can. There you go, I see you there now. All right, we'll do the three here. 1, 2, 3. Okay, that was pretty good. Let's do even better. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
I'm like the queen. Congratulations.
See, Ernest, that means I get all the time in the world. That's what that means. God, I love seeing you all here. For those who don't know me, my name is Mike McCormick Hunnelman, and I work here at the City of Bellevue. You can call me the neighborhoods guy. And one of the things that I get to do is sort of introduce and share out a little bit about this year's graduating class, conversation that we had. And this is going to go, Mayor, on a mug for you. So as you can see on the screen, the conversation we had this year was focused on the power of civic engagement. And we had a conversation that basically took place and said, where are you inspired by? What are you inspired by to be civically engaged? And then the flip of that is, what are you inspired to do in terms of civic engagement? So you'll notice on the drawing to the left are all of the things that the class identified that they were inspired by. And it includes things like our own history as a community, our Native American tribes that were here, that lived here and paved the way for living here, our Japanese community and the investments that they made in Bellevue, and the strong legacy of civic leaders and residents that invested in the growth and development in Bellevue over time. We are joining a continuation of community investment in this city that directly impacts the overall quality of life that we share. It doesn't happen any other way. And as a result, this year's class said there are a few things on our mind that we want to be a part of. We want to steward our environment well. We want to plan for how we are growing. We want to make sure that our small businesses are represented at the table as well as our big ones. We care about neighborhood voice, and darn it, Vision Zero matters because we want people to live and walk and commute on our streets in safety. There are a lot of ideas on the table as you look at this diagram in earnest on that right side. I forgot about the trees, and don't worry, people care a lot about the trees. But I want to call your attention to what's in the center of this year's diagram. The power of civic engagement is always the people. It is us. We are where the ideas come from. We're also where the power to implement the ideas come from. It is what we bring to the table. It's what we contribute. It's what we push forward. It is our push and pull. It is our disagreements and our agreements that shape the positive outcomes for us as a community. It is the magic of this radical experiment of government that is so fragile, yet so cherished. It is what creates our future collectively together, and your being here is a testimony to say yes to that promise. That is what we share together. You know that I was asked to say something inspirational tonight. And I was thinking about, I don't share new inspiration. But rather, I like to remind us of an old one. And for every graduating class, I do the same thing, so it's no surprise. I always refer back to Abraham Lincoln and his words at our Gettysburg Address. I go back to a time when in our country we were divided. We were at arms with one another. We could not find common ground, and Abraham Lincoln was asked to dedicate a field in memory of those who lost their lives in battle. And he begins the Gettysburg Address with these words: 67 years ago, our forefathers brought forth on this continent a new nation, conceived in the liberty and dedicated to the proposition that all men are created equal. But now we're engaged in a great civil war, testing whether that nation or any nation so conceived and so dedicated can long endure. Abraham Lincoln then goes and says a few words about how to dedicate and hallow the ground before him. But he ends this Gettysburg Address with these words: "It is rather for us here to be dedicated to the great task that is before us, that from these honored dead we take increased devotion to the cause for which they gave their last and full measure of devotion, that we here highly resolve that these dead did not die in vain, that this nation under God shall have a new birth in freedom, and that government of the people, by the people, for the people, shall not perish from this earth." We represent that promise. We represent that shared commitment. It is our collective resolve that creates the community, the quality of life, the future for the next generations, for the society, the culture, the city, and the place where they want to live. I am tremendously honored and humbled to be in your presence. What we share together in our expertise, in our knowledge, in our experience, in our backgrounds, in our hopes, is immeasurably precious and is invaluable to what will help us shape and chart our future. Thank you, thank you, thank you for being the essentials of Bellevue Essentials.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Brad Miyake, City Manager. Boy, Mike, I'm always so inspired by your speeches at the end, and he's such a hard act to follow. So on behalf of the City Manager's Office, I'd just like to thank the 35 participants that have participated in the program for this year. As others tonight have noted, your time commitment to this program and future engagement in the city, and as well as just your participation, is why Bellevue is the place people want to be. I've had the great fortune to hand out graduation certificates for the last 10 years and to get to greet each one of the classes. Each class has generated tremendous leaders, and this class is no exception. So thank you. It also speaks just volumes about the incredible value of the Essentials program. Since 2013, the Essentials program has grown in many different ways in terms of the depth of the presentations, the knowledge of residents, and most importantly, the increased civic engagement and involvement in our community. I am grateful for the time, the planning, the staff expertise and instruction that have been put into each one of these classes in each over the 10 years. Appreciate it so much because a lot has gone into that. But in particular, I'd like to point out a few individuals that have been pointed out this evening as well, who are the nuts and bolts behind the Essentials program, and they are Julie Ellenhorn. They are here tonight. I know Carol Ross is here somewhere, and hopefully she could stand up. Mark Heilman. And Mike McCormick-Huntleman, who we call, you don't have to call him the neighbor guy. We refer to him as Mike McCage. This year alone, City Council and staff have spent hours preparing for each one of your Wednesday evening presentations and classes. And over 30 of the presenters, not just the leadership team members, but also department staff are here this evening, and I think they deserve a round of applause as well. You know, every year I receive many messages of appreciation about the Bellevue Essentials program and of the staff. And, you know, they just do such a great job, and, you know, thank you very much, you guys. In conclusion, thank you from a grateful city manager to our city council and staff who have spent, again, many hours on Wednesday evenings in front of your classes, engaging, and appreciate being in front on the Q&A. That's not always easy. I've been there before. Just know that your hard work and commitment to exceptional public service has not gone unnoticed and matters tremendously to this community. Thank you very much.